Did the Prime Minister inform the Commissioner of Canada Elections to instigate an investigation after he became aware almost 10 months ago of allegations of illegal foreign funding?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Monsieur le Président, notre gouvernement comprend que certaines dictatures du monde tentent de saper activement les
dictatorships in the world that are actively trying to undermine democracies.
J'ai vécu et étudié dans un régime
studied in an under an authoritarian communist regime, the Soviet Union, and I have no illusions about the nature of those systems. Our national security agencies are actively monitoring the threat posed by these regimes. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, as the world's wealthy gather for the COP conference, burning massive amounts of jet fuel to get there, what's becoming clear is that this government does not have a climate plan. They have a tax plan. Their plan has failed to reach a single solitary greenhouse gas emissions target, and Canada now ranks 58th out of 64 countries on climate performance. This after they've hit Canadians with high taxes. They plan to triple the tax, tripling down on failure. Will they cancel the carbon tax and come up with a real environmental plan?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians all know that this Conservative leader doesn't have a plan to tackle climate change. And that means that he doesn't have a plan to grow the Canadian economy. The reality today is that our most important trading partners, the U.S., the EU, are all taking serious climate action. These are our allies, and these are our customers. And that is why in the fall economic statement, we invested heavily in the green transition. We're going to continue to do that, Mr. Speaker.
You do need to heat your home if you live in rural Newfoundland, and you do need to use oil to do it because that's all there is. And this winter, it is expected that will, well, it's already up 77% year over year, likely to be up further. Some families will pay as much as $6,000 to heat their homes. Wow. Is the government really going to tell them that they have to pay more for this government's failures on the environment?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians understand that putting a price on pollution is the most effective way to fight climate change. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, one of the Canadians who was early to advocate this economically effective approach was none other than Preston Manning. I think it's also worth pointing out that our price on pollution is revenue neutral. All the money goes back to Canadian families. A family in Alberta is getting back more than $1,000. That's true of a family in Saskatchewan as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Revenue neutral. It's not neutral for the taxpayer who will pay thousands of dollars more in the tax than they get back in any rebates, according to the government's own parliamentary budget officer. If the government really wanted to fight greenhouse gas emissions, they'd approve projects that do that. For example, there were 15 LNG projects proposed when this government took office. Not a single one has been built, and the only one that is under construction was approved by the previous Conservative government, and it required subsequent governments exempt it from the carbon tax in order for it to be economical and to speed up its approval by ignoring C-69. Will the government get out of the way and let our projects go ahead to protect the earth?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government bought and will complete the building of the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Our government absolutely understands that LNG is an important transition fuel and plays a valuable role for Canada and the world. And I do want to point out that we understand for projects to work, they have to meet environmental standards, and Indigenous people have to be consulted. That's how we're going to get projects in Canada built.
This government's denial to actually address inflation shows how out of touch they really are. As families struggle to pay for gas, food, and home heating, they're also being hit with higher mortgage costs. The Bank of Canada raised interest rates to fight Liberal inflation, and now mortgage interest costs are up 11.4%. This is the largest increase in 30 years. Canadians are out of money, and this government just doesn't care. Will the Liberals end their inflationary spending and cancel their plans to triple taxes on groceries, home heating, and gas?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, inflation in Canada has now fallen or remained flat for 4 months in a row. That is good news for Canadians. Now, we also know that many Canadians are facing real challenges, and that's why we put forward a compassionate and fiscally responsible plan. That is why we're doubling the GST. That is why we are providing $500 to Canadians struggling to pay their rent. That is why we're providing dental care for kids under 12. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.